My friend, there is a player in the National Football League who won the Super Bowl, was voted the most valuable player of the final, ended a possible Kansas City Chiefs dynasty, and yet, the following season, dropped in the ranking of the best players in the league. And the season after that, he plummeted not one, not two, but 37 spots at once. 37. That is not a decline. That is a collapse. And what makes this story fascinating is not the number itself, it is the gap it reveals. Because, at the very same time this player was falling like a rock down one list, another group of people inside football itself was placing him far above quarterbacks the media loves to exalt. Two photographs of the same man, taken in the same summer, showing two completely different players. And the difference between them says everything about who this player really is. If you are a die-hard Eagles fan, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right now, because this divide over his reputation is going to be one of the biggest storylines of the season, and you are going to want to understand which way the numbers actually lean before everybody else starts arguing about it in the comments. Here is the deal. The list of the 100 best players in the NFL for 2026 came out, the famous NFL Top 100, and the Eagles quarterback showed up at the 56th spot. That player is Jalen Hurts, and the number on the surface looks disappointing. But once you understand how this list is made, and once you compare it to another list published in the previous weeks, the story flips completely inside out. Let us get to the central point, because it is the one that changes everything. The NFL Top 100 is voted on exclusively by the players in the league themselves. These are the guys who suit up every Sunday, the teammates and opponents who line up beside and against Hurts on the field. They are the ones who placed him at the 56th spot. Now hold on to this. In the previous weeks, ESPN had published its own quarterback ranking, voted on by executives, coaches, and scouts. And in that ranking, Hurts showed up outside the top 10 at his own position, at 17th among quarterbacks. Do you see the difference? The players who actually compete against Hurts placed him above names like Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence, Bo Nix, and Brock Purdy. The front office evaluators, on the other hand, placed him well below all of those same quarterbacks. The people who have to tackle him in the open field, who have to deal with his competitiveness on the biggest stages, respect what Hurts delivers far more than the television talking heads do. That is the divide. On one side, the people who play. On the other, the people who analyze from the outside. And here is something curious. Even with the whole drop, Hurts was the first Eagles player revealed on this year's list. He was not alone in that disrespected range. Right below him, at the 55th spot, came wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, of the rival Dallas Cowboys, who plunged 20 spots compared to the previous summer, even while remaining one of the best receivers in the league. In other words, this year's Top 100 knocked down several big names, and that shows just how short the voters' memory is. One bad year, or even just a year that falls short of spectacular, is enough for a player to drop dozens of spots, even if the talent and the track record have not changed at all. But here is where we need to be honest, and not pretend the NFL Top 100 is sacred scripture, because it has glaring flaws too. Just look at Hurts' trajectory on this list, because it defies logic. He debuted on the ranking in 2023, right after a runner-up MVP season, at the 3rd overall spot, 3rd best player in the entire league. The following year, before that season, he fell to 15th. Up to there, fine, you can debate it. But then came the unbelievable part. After winning the Super Bowl and being named the MVP of the final, after ending a possible Chiefs dynasty, he somehow dropped 4 more spots, to 19th. You win the biggest game on the planet, you were the best on the field in that game, and you fell in the ranking. And now, this year, he collapsed 37 spots at once, landing at the 56th spot. It is his worst placement since before his debut on the list. So let me see if I got this right. Hurts wins the Super Bowl, takes home the MVP of the final, and drops 4 spots. Then, in a season where he dealt with an offensive line decimated by injuries, a coordinator who ended up being fired, and a receiver room situation that fell apart, he collapses another 37 spots. Is that fair? It is hard to argue that it is. But honestly, you can suspect that Hurts himself does not care much about it. And let us get to the numbers from the 2025 season, because they are the most interesting part of this debate, since they serve both sides. Hurts threw for 3,224 yards, with 25 touchdowns, a career high in touchdown passes in the regular season, against just 6 interceptions, completing roughly 65% of his passes. He also ran for 421 yards and 8 rushing touchdowns, and he was selected to the 3rd Pro Bowl of his career. Even more impressive, he joined Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen as the only active players in the league since the year 2000 to record at least 30 total touchdowns in 4 consecutive seasons. 30 total touchdowns for 4 straight years. That is pure elite. But the other side of the number exists too, and ignoring it would be dishonesty. His average of yards per attempt was 7.1, the worst figure of his career. His QBR, a metric that tries to measure the total efficiency of a quarterback, was 55.2, his worst since the 2021 season. And, according to the league's own data, Hurts gained only 39.6% of his passing yards through yards after the catch, an extremely low number, ranking even behind Brock Purdy in that category. Translation: the offense stopped generating explosive plays through the air, and part of the evaluator's criticism has a real basis. The drop in completion percentage and the slightly reduced use in the run game likely contributed to the fall on the list. Now think about this with me. How can both sides be right at the same time? The answer is that they are measuring different things. The analysts are looking at the throwing mechanics, at the ability to make the difficult throw, at the growth as a pure passer, and there they see stagnation. The players, meanwhile, are looking at something else, at the guy who wins, at the competitiveness that shows up in the moments that matter. Multiple trips to the NFC Championship, multiple Super Bowl runs, a Super Bowl title, and an MVP performance on the biggest stage possible. The player does not vote on the mechanics. The player votes on the result. Now let us be fair and transparent, because this is the part a lot of channels skip. First, the passionate defense of Hurts cannot erase the fact that 2025 was, in fact, his weakest season as a passer in several categories. The fall on the ranking is exaggerated, but it did not come from nowhere. Second, part of the analysts' criticism is legitimate. There is a perception, including within the fan base, that Hurts started avoiding the more difficult throws and the vertical risks last season. That is not a media invention. It is a read a lot of people made watching the games. Third, the context of 2024 itself, the title year, is hard to repeat. That team had a 2,000-yard rusher and an elite defense. You do not replicate that formula every year, so demanding the same result from Hurts alone is unfair in both directions. And fourth, there are reports, coming from an AFC executive, that a separation between Hurts and the Eagles next offseason is plausible if he does not evolve as a passer. He still has 2 years left on his contract, but the subject is on the table. In other words, this reputation debate is not merely symbolic. It has real consequences. But it would also be naive to bury the player because of a list. Hurts has been doubted at every level of his football career, and at every level, he answered. The expectation from those who follow closely is that this season will be no different, especially now that he should finally have some stability at the helm of the offense. When Hurts has a functional system around him, the entire league has already seen what he is capable of. So here is the question for you. Who do you believe more? The NFL players, who face Hurts up close and placed him above several hyped quarterbacks, or the front office analysts, who threw him out of the top 10 at his position? And going even deeper, is the 37 spot drop a historic injustice against a Super Bowl champion? Or is it a legitimate message that Hurts needs to grow as a pure passer this season so he does not put his own future in Philadelphia at risk? Leave your opinion in the comments. Do not forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I will be back later to update you with the latest Eagles news.